Hey, what's up? Thanks for tuning in to the original Rhapsody's channel. Been on for a minute, about 12 years doing music interpretations. I'm 52 years old, been here for a while, did a lot of things with my life, survivor of many different things like domestic violence, homelessness, single parenthood, you name it, eviction. I decided to get into this politic arena because it's really weird what's going on out here. Weird is the word. Yeah, everybody's a little crazy, and this is actually the most exciting election I've ever been like a part of in this whole 5 decade lifespan I've had. So, not only is it exciting, but it's just wild watching the people divide on this, and the reasons why. Some don't have reasons, and it's just really interesting how this is turning out. If you are conservative, I never thought I was conservative. I thought I was, liberal, maybe a little bit here, a little there. But the way this whole Democratic Party looks goes to show you something's wrong because if you have a Democrat like RFK going to the Republican side, and they're not even Republicans. They're pretty much uniting and creating a new party, the United Party. So, because on both sides, when you think about it, both sides hate Trump, and some of the both sides don't like Kamala. But at the same time, Democratic machine got the facturing. So, yo, I want to play some stuff. Look at this picture. This is hilarious because she's plagiarizing. She's turning into Trump. Hey, mama love. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. You looking good. What you drank today? Yeah. So you see all of this? It's serious. It is so serious how the derangement is being run across. I don't understand how you can't see what's happening here. Let's see what Corey talking about. Let's see.
What's up with y'all? What's up with y'all? Welcome back to
Oh,
Moxie
another nigga? Nah, you
Approved.
can't be doing.
I just want to start
Hold on,
this
hold on, hold
video
on, hold
off
on.
saying
Hold on. I thought it was straight up Corey. I thought it was straight up Corey. You don't need three motherfuckers bringing you one nigga. You know what I'm saying? Well, excuse me, not nigger. I'm black. Don't block this, y'all. Uh, you don't need three people bringing you the same somebody else's stuff. One is enough. Let's one person bring you from the source, not the source upon a source. All right. So I had a little. Here we go. This is my man right here. Come on, y'all. We definitely have to get Trump in the office because this woman. It's not even because she's a woman. She doesn't make any sense. Black people. I'm sorry. Some of my black people are looking for, I think, what you call symbolism. I know what it is. That's exactly what it is. They're just gonna do it because they're black, or they think she's black, and they want to see her sworn in by a black judge, Supreme Court judge, and that's gonna be such a moment that gives them chills. I heard all this on the radio. I was like, you think China give a fuck about chills? About our symbolism? We might get nuked as soon as they shake hands. If she what the yo. Uh I in no way want to engage in any arguments or any violence. This is just a debate for YouTube guidelines. I am not here for that, but we can see what's going on in this world and it's coming your way. The gangs are piling up. Colorado already getting hit. So, uh, yeah.
My name is Jasmine Woodson.
Hi, my name is Silo.
I'm Karen Watson.
I'm Yolanda Johnson from Georgia.
This is BB Diamond from New York City.
I'm Dana Galen, and I'm from Tampa, Florida.
I live in Hagerstown, Maryland.
Out here in Maricopa County.
Kalamazoo County, Michigan.
I am a proud African immigrant living in Florida.
I'm from the great state of New Jersey.
I'm Angelina from Philly, and this November, I am not voting for Kamala Harris.
I am not voting for Kamala Harris.
I am not voting for Kamala Harris.
I am not with Kamala Harris.
I am not with her. I'm not with her.
I am not with Kamala Harris.
I'm not with Kamala.
I am not for Kamala. I am for Donald Trump.
I am not with Kamala.
I am not with her because she is not with me.
I support President Trump and the economic policies our country experienced under his leadership as our 45th president.
President Trump will support our law enforcement agencies and fund them appropriately.
Donald Trump made me proud to be an American.
I'm with Donald J. Trump.
We need a leader who can make America great again.
Trump puts Americans first, and he always will.
We need Donald Trump.
I and millions of other Black Americans will cast my vote for Donald J. Trump.
I will proudly cast my vote for Donald J. Trump as our next president. Let's make America great again.
Whew, tell you what, my allergies is with me today. Whoa, I'm over here having a sneeze fest, bro. It took me a little, some allergy medicine, so we gotta wait for it to kick in. But anyhow, hashtag I'm not with her is trending. And, I watched this video with a big smile on my face. Somebody even said there's no way you couldn't watch this video without smiling and having hope. Definitely, because, the media is trying to, perpetuate a narrative that's not true. Of course, you have Black people for Kamala. Of course, I'm not saying that that's not the case, but they're trying to make it seem like that doesn't exist at all. We gonna vote for Trump. Y'all know we want to vote for Trump, and these ads are what's necessary. Irony, they be trying to, I know they combat with their ads and stuff, but I hear Kamala's ads against Donald Trump, and I be getting my hair cut, or if I'm in various places, and I just be like debunking what she's saying at that point. Like, oh, wait, no, that's not true. This and that, woo, 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 woo. Anyhow, Kamala Harris, man, she's going to be doing this debate or talk interview tonight, scripted interview tonight. I don't know what we're going to call this thing, but she'll be doing it tonight. And, we're going to see what she has to say. But in honor of her highly anticipated first interview as Democratic nominee for president, we present Kamala's greatest hits. Can you guys feel the joy?
We campaign with the plan. Uppercase T, uppercase P. The plan.
I want to know who's the real president of this country.
Sorry, you got to rap. So I'm sorry to interrupt.
They're acting like they can't hear me.
The women's teams were not allowed to have brackets until 2022. That talk about progress,
Are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house? It's on your laptop. Therefore, up here in this cloud that exists above us.
I call myself a joyful warrior.
Earth is kind of small, right?
The earth is like a speck, which is why we will work together and continue to work together, and to work together as we continue to work, operating from the new norms, rules, and agreements that we will convene to work together on.
I mean, come on, imagine. You can charge your phone on your way home from work.
Leave grandma's medical marijuana alone.
Right? I convened a group of younger Black men. We got these brothers out there that have tech companies. This one brother was doing a lot of work in this race, is gearing up. People are going to say, Kamala was po-po. She's been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
That's good stuff.
Democrats, this is your leader? Honestly, this is y'all leader right here, man. Wow.
That's all resolved.
Wow, look, you got audio playing in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't even supposed to play. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, man, what is going on here? Highly anticipated interview here. I love that we played these highlights so y'all can get a gist of what we're, in store for. Because this is definitely going to be entertaining, to say the least. But I can imagine the scent of the alcohol that she's gonna be sipping on, because she be talking and she be out here like I can feel the cringe coming on, man. I don't know about you. Let's read a few comments. Bash will protect Kamala. Dana, Y'all think Dana Bash is going to grill her the same way that she would grill a J.D. Vance or Trump or anybody who's on the Trump side of things? No, I don't. But I would definitely love to hear your comments. And I mean, I would like to, read your comments and your perspectives. I swear there's just soup. There's just soup where a braid should be. She's obviously just a placeholder and a mouthpiece. She is incapable of running a bath, let alone a country. Ouch. Y'all are ruthless. Why do you mention it like it's going to be edited and she will have a helper? Somebody else wrote, because she definitely will. And I see this video in the comments. I haven't vetted it yet, but it seems to be an extension of the highlights we just watched.
Order what, as we all know, elections matter. And when folks vote, they order what they want. And in this case, they got what they asked for.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree. Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time. And I am here, standing here on the northern flank, on the eastern flank, talking about what we have in terms of the eastern flank and our NATO allies.
It is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't know. We must together work together to see where we are headed, where we are going, and our vision for where we should be, but also see it as a moment, yes, to together address the challenges. We have the ability to see what can be, unburdened by what has been, and then to make the possible actually happen. What is at stake at this very moment? What is at stake this very moment are some of the guiding principles around the NATO alliance as it relates to what we need to do domestically as well as what we need to do in terms of this issue generally. We have, as the president said, reevaluated what we're doing based on what we've just been able to see. And because we've seen it or not doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
The high school essays I used to write.
But just limited to what we have seen.
However, therefore, art two are there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all.
Herein.
I had to put y'all through that.
Thou art.
But you gotta admit, she has the great ability to look forward and to the future and be unburdened by what has been. Oh man, this is about to be hilarious.
I can't wait.
I can imagine the scent of alcohol. That's all I'm gonna keep saying, y'all. Y'all keep hearing me say that thing now, because I can smell it from over her now. Yeah, Kamala in this debate tonight, or not debate, but whatever it's gonna be is it's gonna be interesting to say the least. I can't wait to see what script she's gonna read from this time. Now, John Stolzel. I always obliterate names, but he obliterates Kamala Harris and shows that she is far worse than Joe Biden. Now, this is a full 7-minute clip, a little bit, almost 8 minutes. I'll probably play about 4 minutes of it, and I will have the link for it in the description for y'all to go check it out.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Who is Kamala Harris? She won't hold news conferences and rarely takes questions from reporters. Instead, she reads the same speech off teleprompter again and again.
The path to the White House runs right through this state.
Her campaign also releases carefully produced videos.
We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead.
That would be good. But would Harris's policies allow that?
Let's do it.
America's on track to bankruptcy.
The vice president votes in the affirmative.
Harris repeatedly casts tie-breaking votes to spend more of your money.
Unlocking the ability to pass a COVID relief package without Republican votes.
Last election, I ran a game show that compared candidates' spending plans. It found that Trump and Biden wanted to increase spending by more than $200 billion. Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders by trillions. But I was surprised that the biggest spending plans came from Kamala Harris. Her proposals would have exploded our debt.
The highest inflation in 41 years.
Biden's irresponsible spending ignited nasty inflation. Imagine what inflation would be like if Harris had been president. In her first policy speech, she's proposed almost $2 trillion in new spending.
Provide first-time home buyers with $25,000.
And $2 trillion small compared to what she wanted to do during COVID. Give every American $2,000 a month. That would have cost $21 trillion. She's also endorsed eliminating private health insurance, having government take it all over. Even CNN anchors seemed puzzled.
So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Well, listen, the idea is that everyone gets access to medical care.
Now her campaign says she no longer supports entirely government-run health. She's flip-flopped on other issues.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
No question, she told CNN. But now Harris wants votes in Pennsylvania, where fracking provides jobs. Her campaign now says she won't ban fracking. And they even say Republicans claiming she wanted a fracking ban is false, an obvious attempt to distract. But what's false? That's what she said.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yes.
She also wanted to force gun owners to sell their guns to the government.
I support a mandatory buyback program.
Mandatory. But again, today,
A Harris campaign spokesperson tells us that the vice president would no longer require this.
So who is the real Kamala Harris? She used to brag about being a tough prosecutor against even the smallest offenses.
I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
But then when progressives said abolish the police, she flip-flopped. And during the George Floyd riots, when people were looting and setting fires, Harris tweeted, help post bail for those protesting. Now that the policing pendulum has swung back, she again brags about locking people up.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds.
During the 2019 Democratic debate, Tulsi Gabbard pointed out her hypocrisy.
She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
That was true.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay.
And I inhale. I did inhale.
Another criticism of Harris is that she's nasty to people who work for her.
Incredibly, there's been a 92% turnover on her staff.
Politico called her office abusive, an unhealthy environment. Now, if she were a hard-charging boss who got results, that might be okay. But we know what happened when Biden put her in charge of the border.
More than 302,000 migrants crossed the southern border.
Of course more people crossed.
And more are crossing every day. Pretty scary to know that this woman is in government. And sidebar, he doesn't speak highly of Trump either, okay? But, the focus of this was for Trump. Somebody says it's also disrespect Trump too. Why won't even one of those lickers give Trump credit for many accomplishments he's had? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as Kamala has repeatedly said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Okay, Scam-Mala, you showed us who you are, all right? Over and over. Somebody said, don't the first-time homeowners also need the first generation? Not sure if that means not one in your family, no one in your family ever owned a home, or you have, I don't know why I'm reading that one. Let's just keep going. Whoa, this clown Kamala is vicious. I ain't even gonna show y'all this. Anyhow, this guy, John Stussel, looks like her drinking buddy. Wow. Yeah, man, I don't know what to believe from Kamala. I just know you can believe that it'd be hilarious when she does this interview tonight.
So, for the life of me, I could not find the full interview to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz on CNN. I could not find it, online, right? Everybody knows it would be on CNN on the actual cable or whatever. So I went to the CNN website. I went to go try to play the video, and they had like a little sample. You couldn't really play the video all the way through. You had to sign in with your TV cable provider. Nobody watches TV. So I went to my phone. I tried to look it up a little bit there. I didn't look that hard, honestly. I was just like, whatever. So I went to YouTube. And when I went to YouTube, I only saw clips. I only saw samples and trailers and previews and stuff like that. And listen, I don't want all y'all to go through all that drama, all that stress, all that frustration. So you know what I did? I put the whole video together so you can watch it without any interruptions. I know. You can thank me later. Well, you can thank me by smashing that subscribe button and I'll just detonate the video. Yep. 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Yeah.
Governor Walz, thank you so much for sitting down with me and bringing the bus. The bus tour is well underway here in Georgia. You have less time to make your case to voters than any candidate in modern American history. The voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward. In a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans, really dividing our nation. And I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families. For example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one. What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda, too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America to what can be. And I think many of these things that the vice president's proposing are things that we share in values. And the child tax credit is one we know that reduces childhood poverty by 1/3. We did it in Minnesota to have a federal partner in this. Unbelievable, I think, in the impact that we can make.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability.
Yeah.
One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it, which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging, what we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years, what we need to do to bring down the cost of housing,
My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers, so they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited, I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars, up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that anymore.
You maintain Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America. What we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not.
We were not in poverty even during COVID. We were not in poverty. We're in poverty, close to poverty now. Shoot, might as well be in poverty now. Compared to what's happening, we made money during COVID. If you were able to get into that remote field with your genre of work, with your career type, honey, let me tell you something. Okay? Look, everybody got paid, even if they got laid off. $600 a week for nothing. You can stay home and make $24 a month. I know that's not a lot for people that was really making money, but people that were really making money had savings, had things like that. That $600 every week was something that was fantastic for somebody that maybe just started working or never made more than $12, $13 an hour. They actually made more than they ever made. Me, I made about $24 an hour based on the jobs that I was doing. I was working for unemployment at the time as a remote supervisor. Oh, what a time that was. Whew. But yeah, no. I don't know what the hell she's talking about. Let me go back to this chick.
Not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs. I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's good work.
I want to get some clarity on where you stand on some key policy issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, at a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, I cast the tie-breaking vote that actually increased leases for fracking as vice president. So I'm very clear about where I stand.
And was there some policy or scientific data that you saw that you said, oh, okay, I get it now?
What I have seen is that we can grow and we can increase a thriving clean energy economy without banning fracking.
Okay. Another issue, big one, is immigration. As vice president, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
northern part of Central America.
The northern part of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border. And because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol endorsed the bill. And I'm sure in large part because they knew they're working around the clock, and 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again. I just want to ask
about... Not only push it, I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
Just one other question about something that you said in 2019 when you first ran. There was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws, and I would enforce our laws as president going forward. I recognize the problem.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I've worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet
certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed.
Listen, Kamala, just after this, it's like the Biden debate. You didn't even make it to the debate yet. Let me give you some advice. All right? Bow out now. Don't do it to yourself. You still walk away with glory. You still walk away with glory, girl. Come on, AKA. Look, you're going to still be branded in glory because you are the first woman of color to make it to such a high position. Please, don't let them use you like this. Bow out gracefully. Girl, bow out gracefully. Jesus, Lord.
I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California, prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding.
That man gonna wipe the floor with you, girl. And he gonna do it gracefully. He ain't gonna beat down your gender or your color. You gonna fuck it.
The illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed. So that is the reality of it. And 4 years of being vice president, I'll tell you, one of the aspects to your point is traveling the country extensively. I mean, I'm here in Georgia. I think somebody told me 17 times since I've been vice president in Georgia alone. I believe it is important to build consensus. And it is important to find a common place of understanding of where we can actually solve problems.
On that note, you had a lot of Republican speakers at the convention. Yeah. Will you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
Yes, I would.
Anyone in mind?
I would. No one in particular in mind. We got 68 days to go with this election, so I'm not putting the cart before the horse. But I would. I think it's really important. I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
I want to ask you about your opponent, Donald Trump.
Okay.
I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Let's talk about some foreign policy issues that would be on your plate if you become commander-in-chief. President.
What you do?
I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member.
President Biden has tried unsuccessfully to end the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. He's been doing it for months and months, along with you. Would you do anything differently? For example, would you withhold? Suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it? That's it. Okay. Let's talk about some foreign policy issues that would be on your plate if you become commander-in-chief. President Biden has tried unsuccessfully to end the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. He's been doing it for months and months, along with you. Would you do anything differently? For example, would you withhold some U.S. weapons shipments to Israel? That's what a lot of people on the progressive left want you to do.
Let me be very clear. I'm unequivocal and unwavering in my commitment to Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. And that's not going to change. But let's take a step back. October 7, 1,200 people were massacred
many young people who were simply attending a music festival. Women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. And we have got to get a deal done. We were in Doha. We have to get a deal done. This war must end.
In the meantime,
and we must get a deal that is about getting the hostages out. I've met with the families of the American hostages. Let's get the hostages out. Let's get the ceasefire done.
but no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth.
No, we have to get a deal done. Dana, we have to get a deal done. When you look at the significance of this to the families, to the people who are living in that region, a deal is not only the right thing to do to end this war, but will unlock so much of what must happen next. I remain committed since I've been on October 8th to what we must do to work toward a two-state solution, where Israel is secure and in equal measure, the Palestinians have security and self-determination and dignity.
Governor Walz, the country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you a question about how you described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war.
Yeah.
Did you misspeak, as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's service in any way. I never have, and I never will.
I just one other question, because again, this is all new.
Yeah.
I mean, this was not, however many days ago, this was not on either of your bingo cards, especially yours. You had to clarify that you had said that you and your wife used IVF, but it turned out you used a different kind of fertility in order to have children. And then when you ran for Congress in 2006, your campaign repeatedly made false statements about a 1995 arrest for drunk and reckless driving. What do you say to voters who aren't sure whether they can take you at your word?
Well, I've been very public. I think they can see my students come out, former folks I've served with, and they vouch for me. I certainly own my mistakes when I make them. The one thing I'll tell you is I wished in this country we wouldn't have to do this. I spoke about our infertility issues because it's hell, and families know this. And I spoke about the treatments that were available to us that had those beautiful children there. That's quite a contrast in folks that are trying to take those rights away from us. And so I think people know who I am. They know that record. They've seen that. I've taught thousands of students. I've been out there. And I won't apologize for speaking passionately, whether it's guns in schools or protecting of reproductive rights. The contrast could not be clearer between what we're running against. The vice president's position on this has been clear. And I think most Americans get it if you've been through that. I don't think they're cutting hairs on IVF or IUI. I think what they're cutting hairs on is an abortion ban and the ability to be able to deny families the chance to have a beautiful child.
Vice President Harris, you were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve in their president. By contrast, the former president has none of that. And so, one, I am so proud to have served as vice president to Joe Biden. And two, I'm so proud to be running with Tim Walz for president of the United States and to bring America what I believe the American people deserve, which is a way forward and turn the page on the last decade of what I believe has been contrary to where the spirit of our country really lies.
But the last decade, of course, the last 3.5 years has been part of your administration.
I'm talking about an era that started about a decade ago, where there is some suggestion, warped I believe it to be, that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, instead of where I believe most Americans are, which is to believe that the true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. That's what's at stake as much as any other detail that we could discuss in this election.
Because we haven't had a chance to talk, I'm just curious, staying on President Biden, when he called you and said he was pulling out of the race, what was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it?
To me, she should have backed up on that again. Like, okay, excuse me. It's been 16 years? Yes, 16 years. 12 out of 16 years is Democrat run. That's why she said the last 3-4 years was you guys. And before him was 8. So how is his 4 so much worse than any of the 12 you had? Oh, man. And I'm sorry, y'all. I have to fast forward this. You want to see this part? You got to.
It was a Sunday, so
I don't want to hear this no more. I'm dying.
But the character of the man,
okay, here we go,
is one that, and I asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said yes, and that's how I learned about it.
And what about the endorsement? Did you ask for it?
He was very clear that he was going to support me.
So when he called to tell you, he said, "I'm pulling out of the race and I'm going to support you."
Well, my first thought was not about me, to be honest with you. My first thought was about him, to be honest. I think history is going to show a number of things about Joe Biden's presidency. I think history is going to show that in so many ways it was transformative, be it on what we have accomplished around finally investing in America's infrastructure, investing in new economies, in new industries, what we have done to bring our allies back together and have confidence in who we are as America and grow that alliance, what we have done to stand true to our principles, including the one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I think history is going to show not only has Joe Biden led an administration that has achieved those extraordinary successes, but the character of the man is one that he has been in his life and career, including as a president, quite selfless and puts the American people first.
I just have to ask you both about 2 standout moments, aside, of course, from the addresses that you both gave, but standout moments that were perhaps unexpected during the convention. You mentioned one of them, Governor. A moment that you shared, that the world shared with your son, Gus. You were speaking, the camera caught him, so incredibly proud of you, so emotional, saying, "That's my dad."
Yeah, I don't know as a father I could have ever imagined that. I'm grateful for so many reasons to be on this ticket. great kids. And I think the one thing is talking about the era we're in is our politics can be better. It can be different. We can show some of these things, and we can have families involved in this. And I hope that I hope people felt that out there, and I hope they hug their kids a little tighter, because you just never know, and life can be kind of hard.
And last question, Madam Vice President, the photograph that has gone viral.
Oh, no.
You were speaking, one of your grandnieces that you were just talking about was watching you accept the nomination. You didn't explicitly talk about gender or race in your speech, but it obviously means a lot to a lot of people, and that viral picture really says it. What does it mean to you?
You know, I am running because I believe that I am the best person to do this job at this moment, for all Americans, regardless of race and gender. But I did see that photograph, and I was deeply touched by it. And you're right, it's the back of her head, her two little braids, and then I'm in the front of the photograph, obviously speaking. And it's very humbling. It's very humbling in many ways.
Did she talk to you about it afterwards?
Oh, she had a lot to talk about. She had a lot. She listened to everything, and she listens to everything.
Give you your hot takes?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Madam Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Dana. Thank you.
That hurt. Whew.
Well, joining us now is former White House Chief of Staff and Senior Advisor at Bondi Partners, Mick Mulvaney. Mick, so good to have you here tonight. What did you make of that interview, first of all?
James, my favorite question was what are you going to do on the first day? And the answer was essentially, well, what I'm going to do on the first day is what I'm going to do on the first day. And I mean what I said I was going to do on the first day, and all the things I've said I'm going to do. And by that, I mean the things that I said I'm going to do. A lot of hope, a lot of change. You know, the things I've talked about. That's exactly what I'm going to do on the first day. It was one of the most vapid sort of discussions I've seen in a long time in politics. I think the only person who did worse tonight than Kamala Harris was Tim Walz, who tried to defend lying about his military record. So it was not a good night. My guess is it will be well received by the left-leaning press in this country, because at least it was an interview. But I think if you were an undecided voter trying to figure out what Kamala Harris stands for on anything, you left tonight still wanting.
Yeah, and Mick, I mean, there were some pretty poor answers to some pretty basic questions, like this one.
Joe Biden and I, and our administration, worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border. And because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill.
Mick, two things about this. Number one, I mean, she was border czar during this historic influx of illegal migration. And number two, what about this sort of style that she has, where every time she gets sort of challenged or out of her depth, she goes into this kind of school teacher mode, like she's explaining things to a bunch of 5-year-olds?
It works, James, on the left-leaning press. I mean, keep in mind that Democrats really do see organizations like CNN, like MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, Washington Post, New York Times, but I could go on, as organizations attached to the Democrat Party. So the answer that she gave is satisfactory to folks on the left. It just doesn't necessarily appeal to folks who are down the middle or folks who are undecided voters. On the immigration issue, what I wish Dana Bash, the interviewer from CNN, had asked is the follow-up question, which is, okay, so you now support a bill that supports building a wall, even though during the debate you said that building a wall was un-American. When you say you've kept your values but changed your position, how are those two things consistent? Is building a wall still un-American? Again, you could ask this of Kamala Harris on a bunch of different issues, because she has switched on a bunch of them. I'm not sure how the answer, well, I'm keeping to my values, really explains why you're completely flipping on the issues. I wish we had seen that follow-up on the border wall for sure.
Well, I mean, we had another
She
sort of
hasn't
similar
really
thing happen on the
said
issue
what
of
she
fracking.
said.
Have a look at this.
It's a flip-flop.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020 that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, at a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed.
Well, Mick, her values have not changed. I mean, I'm starting to ask the question here, Mick. Was this interview actually a mistake?
Yeah, it's sort of like that. I was against fracking before I was before fracking, or for fracking before I was against fracking.
Yeah.
No, it's not a mistake because, again, it was on at 9:00 on Thursday. For those of you who aren't familiar with our calendar, it is a long weekend here. It's a bank holiday weekend. It's the Labor Day weekend on holiday on Monday. So this is about as dead an airtime as you can get media-wise. But they had to do it. My guess is you will not see Tim Walz and Kamala Harris do a lot more interviews before this election. Why? They're doing fine without doing these types of things, as they learned with their first policy proposal, James, when they came out to talk about price fixing, price gouging, that turned out to be a complete disaster from a campaign perspective. This is probably going to be perceived as a campaign disaster as well, and you won't see it anymore. You used a great line on the introduction. I've not heard it yet. I'm going to steal it, which is they're trying to ride the vibe. They're trying to essentially sort of talk about hope and change and feelings and all these types of sort of subjective things and ride that all the way into the White House. That's what they're going to try and do. They're not going to try and win this race on policy. I think you put our policies up against Donald Trump would win this race going away with the American public, but they're banking on this race not being about policy. They're hoping it will be about feelings.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, too, the thing was so staged, and it looks at times even like she might have been looking down at her notes. And as we talked about, she couldn't even nail the basic stuff. With the debate now coming up, if that's going to happen, I think some of the CNN people, if you look at this bit from the CNN After Action panel, I think they're getting nervous. Look at this.
Okay, let's not be mistaken. I mean, Donald Trump is tall and very loud.
Yes.
And he is very persistent. It's not going to be so easy to just say, okay, let's move on. He's going to be right there.
Yes.
I think there's sort of a bit of a glimmer of understanding there that they may have a problem with this candidate in anything with the most scripted situation.
But keep in mind, she did run for president in 2020. She dropped out of the race in 2019. I'm not making that up. She didn't even make it to the first primaries in Iowa. She's not great on her feet. She is better, James. I will give her credit. She was better tonight than she was, say, 3 or 4 years ago. Being vice president for a couple of years will help that, I'm sure. But I think the Democrats are already sort of lowering expectations for her performance in a debate. I'm in the minority in this country. I still think there's a 50-50 chance there is no debate on September 10th because the Democrats may look at this event tonight along with the experiences they've had on Kamala Harris talk about policies in the past and say, you know what? It's not worth it to do this debate. Let's figure out a way to get out of it. So, look, I hope it takes place. I know a lot of folks in this country would like to see it. I'd like to see it. I think it's important that the voters have a chance to talk, to hear what the candidates have to say. But the Democrats may make the calculated sort of analysis that they're better off not doing that debate and not doing any more of these interviews going forward.
Yeah, and something that's just very interesting to me, Mick, too, finally, about her media strategy. I've noticed that while they're hiding her away and Trump can't get access to big media, he's doing all these podcasts where he's doing hours or 2 hours long with people with millions of followers, kind of doing an end run around the media. Is this making a difference, do you think?
Oh, it is. No, that's the Donald Trump. That's the Donald Trump model. Keep in mind, he did that in 2016. That was the beauty of Twitter to Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020. He could not get his message out
amongst the mainstream corporate media in this country. So he turned to Twitter and got his message directly to the voters. You're going to see that more and more. Now he's doing more podcasts. Look, CNN is not going to give Donald Trump fair shake. You just showed the clip of Kellyanne Conway. They're going to push back every single time on every single thing the Republicans say, and they'll let the Democrats go. They didn't even push back at all on Tim Walz tonight about his comment about his military service and so forth. But yeah, you see Donald Trump go around the military. He won in 2016 doing that. He thinks he can win in 2024 again doing it that way as well.
Mick, thanks so much, Mick Mulvaney, as always, for your insights and analysis here on the U.S. Report.
All right. Thanks for rocking.